at NTV.
Okay, into the final band of the 7 o'clock hour. We start off with our Kickstarter conversation, analyzing the tourism sector as far as 2023 is concerned, how they have performed post-COVID-19, and what is the building block for local tourism industry, especially as far as the word sustainability is concerned. Welcome aboard our Kickstarter. I am Priscilla Regina Neluga. Now, to just give you a backbone to this conversation, tourism is an increasingly important contributor to Uganda's economy, without a doubt. Now, the 1.5 million international arrivals combined with a growing number of domestic tourists generated 7.75% of the GDP and 6.7% of the total national employment in 2018 alone. The tourism earnings reached nearly 2.7 trillion shillings, which equates to about $712 million US, representing 12.2% of the total exports and 41.4% of service exports. Now, to spread the wings of this sector's potential and achievements for the year 2023, I am joined by Mr. Herbert Byarhanga, who's the President, Confederation of the Uganda Tourism Associations. Mr. Byarhanga, may I say Merry Christmas in advance?
Oh, thank you.
I say that because I know that the tourism sector has pushed leaps and bounds to re-emerge as a thriving sector post-COVID-19. But before we get into that conversation, let's talk about the Confederation of the Uganda Tourism Association, formerly having been known as the Uganda Tourism Association. Why the change?
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. We decided to change the name of the association to make it more inclusive, to make people feel they have a confederation that brings them together. For a long time, people were confusing it with they were confusing the name Uganda Tourism Association with Association of Uganda Tour Operators, Uganda Safari Guide Association, Travel Agents, everything was association. So we decided to make it a confederation that can bring people together under one umbrella.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. And so what are the associations that are in the Confederation?
We have about 9 members of national character. We have the Hotel Owners Association. We have the Association of Uganda Tour Operators. We have the Uganda Safari Guide Association. We have the National Art and Crafts Association, Hotel General Managers Association, Women in Tourism Association. And you have got affiliates like Buganda Tourism Board. We have, I think I've forgotten one, I don't remember. The Uganda Travel Agents Association. So quite a number of them.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. The year 2023 is fast pacing. We're about 55 days to end the year. In your spectrum, through your lenses, how has it actually been for the tourism sector in the year 2023? What are those remarkable strides that the sector has witnessed, and the performance so far?
You know, that's a very difficult question, because currently people are bleeding. So when they are bleeding and ask them about the strides, they cannot give any positive answer, because while we are trying to recover from COVID and Ebola, we end the year with the killing of tourists in Queen Elizabeth National Park. That completely erases all the positive, developments we had. I must say there was some kind of recovery coming up. People had started making reservations, and if you look at the figures of March to probably September, we had done very well. We had performed over 50%. We are focusing on, regaining the 2019-2018 traffic, but now we have gone back. The impact of this thing is going to be seen the next year, because people have cancelled. They will not be able to come the next year. It's going to affect us so much. So I've seen somehow government working on roads, some of the roads, although a lot more needed to be worked on, a lot more. And now it's raining, and some of them have outlived, some of the roads have outlived their term, their lifespan. I have seen there's been a lot of movement of the tour operators through the support of PSFU and its allies, getting out into the source markets, including regional tourism. We have had very good engagements with the original partners through the Coastal Embassy, the Kenya Coastal Consulate. We've had very good engagements with our partners there because they have a lot of traffic. We think they can divert their traffic here. We can partner with them. We have had some engagements with government at some point, looking at maybe new products, what we can do, although at minimal levels. Yeah, there's some work being done. We've seen the engagements in licensing our tourist guides. About 900 now have been assessed and given licenses by Uganda Tourism Board. We've seen new products. We've been we had Pawate, although it had some reservations about it, but it was there. We're able to show the world that we are coming up to market the country. We've seen the global attention to Uganda's birding industry. We are hosting the International Conference for Women Birders, the first time of its kind. There's been some good responses here and there. And of course, Uganda didn't suffer a lot like many other countries. We performed very well. We did not lose lots of people, so we remained safe. And thanks to the president who did this, because Uganda remained safe to some level, we didn't scare off many people. Yeah, maybe that.
Well, one of the dailies this morning brings a story about the tour operators and insurers advocating for safety of tourists. So one of the recommendations or the things that were highlighted in that discussion is the fact that the more tourists that we get, the higher the risk as far as safety is concerned. And in light of what happened in the recent weeks, it goes ahead to show that perhaps there's loopholes that need to be streamlined a little bit better to ensure that tourists actually enjoy their time in the different tour destinations across Uganda. And as the Confederation, what is the way forward towards that?
This has opened our eyes. It requires a concerted effort. That such a thing has happened, we put our head together immediately and be out in the market. We need to be out in the market. We need a deliberate effort of government to work with private sector to be out in the market. People are now arriving in London today, but they are very few. To tell the story about Uganda today, we need to continuously train our people in various skills. We need to train our people in leadership skills, patriotism skills, so that we have got continuous service delivery that is unmatchable. We have got to engage the communities in all we're doing. Like now what happened in Queen Elizabeth National Park, we should already be in Queen Elizabeth National Park working with the communities to be able to identify. We have got a LOC system in this country which is supposed to help us, police the regions or the areas where they live, to be able to know who is who lives in that house. It's time now to re-energize it and make sure that it works very well. It's time now to see our leaders getting involved in tourism activities. We've been appealing to the president to come and join us. We've talked to some of the leaders in parliament, and we hope it is going to work out right now so that we're able to get everybody on board and be able to show the world that actually the country is safe. It is time to look at our legislation frameworks. The current law that we have is focusing on tourism board alone. The Tourism Act of 2008 focuses on tourism board alone, and we think it is time now to think about the bigger sector of tourism so that everybody is catered for. It is time also to make, to develop collaborations with partners in the country, but also outside Africa or within Africa. Within Africa, outside Africa, but within ourselves. That we have got the Ministry of Tourism working with other ministries, working with other agencies, working with a robust strategy to work with media, so that reporting reporting the choice of words to be used, you know, is very, very important. It's time to mobilize our people to start knowing what they tweet, what they put on social media, how they tweet, how can we use technology to market our country so that everybody knows if I'm talking about my country, I'm supposed to tweet this, not everything. I know negative news sell a lot.
So in light of one of those campaigns that went social media in the middle of the year, the pothole campaign, Ugandans had to speak up about the plight of the poor road infrastructure, and yet on the flip side that does affect tourism. What would be your recommendation to handle such an incident?
You know, when you talk about roads, for example, everybody understands. Even if you went, went beyond Africa, it's okay, it's a road. But in fact, it is very important that everybody should think about working on our major roads first. Every road that leads to tourist sites should be worked on, so that people can be able to access these tourist sites, so that we're able to compete with other destinations.
Exactly.
Because if we don't work on infrastructure, then we shall, with all negativity about Uganda, we will lose the global market share, and we shall suffer more. And of course, you know, tourism feeds into other sectors of the economy.
Okay.
Yes. So the campaigns for social services, I think they are very, very important.
Okay, all right. So when you go back and say that Ugandans should have a discipline of marketing their country, especially in light of the new era of social media that goes far and beyond borders and boundaries, what do you mean exactly? And how would you recommend Ugandans behave themselves or conduct themselves in line of certain things, for using the case study that we've just had of Queen Elizabeth?
You know, everybody who tweets about Queen Elizabeth, in fact, I was impressed by the tourist guides in Uganda. It happened when I was traveling to the United States to market. I was going for a festival, and I was using the pictures they shared. The following day, all the vehicles that were in the Queen Elizabeth National Park, whatever was happening, they were sharing them, and that's what I call positive sharing, talking about the good thing. Something has happened about us, but people can say, now, yes, it has happened, life goes on. Because in all countries, where I was in USA, there were killings in California, there were killings in Chicago, there were killings everywhere, but life goes on. You don't have to say, don't go to America, it's not safe, no. So if it happened in Queen Elizabeth National Park, it doesn't mean that the whole country, Queen Elizabeth is over 2,000 square kilometers, so it doesn't mean the whole country. There are villages in that area. There are enclaves in that area with people. They are all doing business. So we need to come out and show, yes, it happened, it's an unfortunate incident, but business is moving on. Yes, so that's what I mean by reporting positively about our country.
Okay,
when it comes to such a thing that affects our reputation of the country, we should think about how do we really get it out there to the people, the choice of words. You know, before everything happens, terrorist attack in Queen Elizabeth National Park, why don't we let the bodies concerned first investigate? It could be a robbery. It could be thugs just moving around and they try to be seen. So we shouldn't have rushed. So I had to work hard to face the posts from here, from the authorities. Especially the one from police was very bad because they hit me so much. People were coming to me asking me, but the police has confirmed. It is a tourist. I was telling them, no. The policeman could have also been overwhelmed by the killing, and he just talked. But the good thing, the UPDF came and actually gave a very nice statement, which I also used to tell the people, see what they're saying. They're still following up these people until they get to know who they were. And the good thing, now you see what happened. They got them, shot them, arrested some of them, and that's not being publicized by the same people.
It's not been given the exact push as the incident itself.
They should tell the people now, look, they should actually congratulate the PDF, congratulate everybody concerned, president, everybody in the army, you know, for the success that now it is more safer, you know, that gives the hope to the people. And I can tell you, even 2 days ago, somebody was going to cancel a trip with my company. But I told him, look, the government has been working hard. The soldiers have been, the thieves have been arrested, and some of them were killed, and the leader is in the hands of the UPDF. So he said, it's okay, it looks very safe now. Government becomes very serious. I said, they are serious, very serious. So he's not going to cancel. So we have to come out and tell the world. You can't imagine what the tour operators are going to face in the UK today. They're in the world travel market. These are the questions they're going to ask them. We have had the anti-gay law, which affected the movement of the people here. And people have been fighting us in their social media. Now, an incident happened in Queen Elizabeth National Park, people died from UK. And that's why we have gone in UK. And UK has put an advisory, don't go to Uganda. I have lost 2 groups. They are demanding the refund of the money. And that means, and many others. A lot of tour operators are suffering now. They are sending money back to spenders. You can imagine giving you money for the tour. You've already paid deposit hotels, suppliers, and then they want it back.
You have to lose in between.
That's a big loss.
That's a big loss.
Yes. So
okay, well, to the Ugandans, especially social media users, bad news does spread very fast, but it's also incumbent upon us to also spread the good news even faster to outrun the bad news. You did mention earlier when you were talking about some of the remedies that you do have around such incidences as what happened in Queen Elizabeth Park, and you were referring to community engagement and sensitization, but you were saying that we should be working, we should be doing this and this, giving me the impression that it's not the reality on ground, and I ask why.
Yeah, you see now, for example, there should have been a committee between private sector and the Ministry of Tourism that's strategically put in place to ensure if anything like that happens, they're there on the dot. You would see a Minister of Tourism going to Queen Elizabeth National Park the next morning. The whole team should have stopped what they are doing, rushed Queen Elizabeth National Park to give confidence to the tour operators in the country, investors in the country, and potential tourists coming in. But where were they? No one was there. So we waited for that, didn't happen. We have to be very serious about these issues. You would see a structured way of discussions about safety and security of the people, of the tourists, domestic and international tourists around the country. That committee should be working. I remember we put up a security committee, tourism security council. It worked for a few months and stopped working. Why? I don't know. So the government has to be interested in this to make sure that there is a robust collaboration between government and the private sector, because they say it is government-led, private sector-driven. So we want to drive. But you can't drive without fear. We can't drive without collaborating with our leaders. We must work together, and that's what we are pushing hard for. That we must understand our business very well. We must work together, plan together. If anything like that happens, we stand together. Say, look, this has affected our business. What do we do? What do we tell the world?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you speak that and you give me the impression and a better understanding of the Israel-Gaza war, where you do have different country leaders going to Israel, especially to be able to find a way to help Israel mitigate and have the ceasefire that the world is calling for. Okay, still focusing on the downside of things, we also get to look at something most recently, the embezzlement of funds with the Uganda Wildlife Authority, the gorilla ticket scandal. How has that affected business?
It also hit us so much because New Vision said to operators, Monitor said to operators, front page, two operators involved in scandal. Two operators have been, it was a shame. But we also had to call a press conference to make people understand that we are actually not involved. It is a leakage from inside the system, and this leakage should be dealt with. It affected some tour operators because all in all it affected our reputation. The tour operators can get involved in such a scandal of stealing gorilla permits. But the question is clear. How do I steal a gorilla permit, which at the same time you issue to me, I go on track, and then you give me a certificate?
Okay, let's pose that question right there for you to think about it. How exactly is it that if the process is quite open and not clear, then where exactly does the stealing come from? And of course, we'll be returning after this break with a better understanding what are the resolutions around that. Stroke of the top of the hour, 8 a.m. We're still on our Kickstarter. We're going to have an analysis of the tourism sector 2023, a sector that has been hit by disease COVID-19, followed by Ebola scourge. And then thereafter, you do have the poor infrastructure that we came off because of the climate change. And then no sooner had that been mitigated or being resolved or worked around, then most recent incident also shed doom over the tourism sector, and that is insecurity in light of what happened in Queen Elizabeth National Park, the killing of 2 tourists and a local driver, a national tour operator. Now, we were having a discussion with Mr. Byarhanga Herbert here, who's the President Confederation of the Uganda Tourism Associations. He was giving us his perspective on the UWA gorilla permits saga, and he was giving us how the system works and exactly how tour operators were being blamed on the side of UWA, and yet when you look at how the system is run, it begs the question, who is lying to who? So please continue with that.
Yes, I was saying, how can I steal a permit from your system, and then that permit is served to me by you. I go and track it. You give me a certificate and actually give me escort, everything, and then after that you say I leaked it. I stole it. So that was a bad statement about it, but I think we worked together on it, and we are waiting to have another engagement and see that we do not have such a similar incidents, because the leakage came from within.
Okay.
Otherwise, the operator had nothing to do with it.
So when you say engagements, who are the stakeholders in these engagements?
The engagement will be the two operators, the private sector and the UWA system, because we market these permits. We spend a lot of time and money marketing these permits, and they actually support. They're giving permits to the Association of Uganda Tour Operators to go and market. It's not enough, but it's something that we can be proud about. We are partners in this thing.
Okay.
So, but you see, it's a big society. If someone realizes there is a loophole in the system and wants to release the permit, which is actually $700, and he says it to someone, either cheaply or whatever they want, and make a difference, they will do it. That's why there's securities all the time to check. So what happened was, I think somebody decided to leak the permits and sell them to 2 operators. And the 2 operators who are in business, even if it was me, and you tell me there's the permit of $500, and there's a difference you are going to make, you are recovering from COVID, recovering from Ebola, recovering from the Antigelo, and you don't have money to do business. People had to rush for it. They rushed for them and did it. They wanted to make some business. So, but we sent a signal. We got rumors last year, and we sent a signal to the ministry. There's some kind of, foul going around. There could be some thieves around. Even our management was informed. But I think they thought was, no, this is just a noise from the private sector. You know, we are always
at loggerheads.
At loggerheads. They always say we make noise. But noise is good, you know.
To show them the direction.
Show that the direction, and those who listen, we move forward. Yeah. Those who resist, they face the challenges themselves. So they did not take it serious, and until it burst out, when it is too much. A lot of money was stolen, and we told them, please investigate. We are here. Investigate. If we get the 2 operators and they are found guilty, well, we shall work together to make... The law is there. The law is clear, yes. We shall take precautions.
Okay, all right. Looking into local tourism, it's one of the good things that came out of COVID-19 for the industry, local tourism. Between 2020 and 2023, how has been the performance and the growth of local tourism?
Unfortunately, it has been dropping.
We are back to going to Dubai.
Yes, it has been dropping. You know why it's dropping?
Why?
You see, the domestic tourism does not just come out of the blue and just grows. It's a culture. Traveling is a culture that it's developed deliberately by the authorities and the economics of that particular country. When people have disposable income, they can travel.
But we do have a travel culture because we come from different parts of the country, and so people in Kampala, Kampala will be empty. People would have traveled back to their villages.
That's different from what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is somebody traveling, say, okay, Priscilla has had her leave, she's going out with the family, they sit in the vehicle, they hire a tour operator, hire a guide, and go to the country.
Okay.
That's we haven't reached there. It depends on so many factors: the culture, government policy. You can imagine if the government had a policy that every civil servant should have 10 days of leave traveling within the country, and they use their own money. It should be a deliberate effort that people have disposable income. We don't have money. People don't have good jobs. They earn, very little money to support their families. So you cannot tell someone to go somewhere. They can go to the beach for one day. That's okay, that's affordable. But they need to start having a culture of traveling. People from Kisoro going to Kabale. Going to Kidepo. People from Guru coming to Buganda, visiting the cultural sites, going to other places. That's what I'm talking about. That people they love their country. They are inspired by the stories. We are still struggling with our civil wars, the impact of the civil wars, because people still have words trading around. The good Muganda is done what? The good Acholi is done. All those things are still, you hear people calling others Bakoko. Those things still affect the travel behavior, domestic travel behavior. And the other important thing, police is that we don't have money to spend. When we travel domestically, we are looking for the cheapest. We look for Chikomando. We look for, but there is no, I do not see the incentives by government given to local investors. If someone starts a tour company, he's an investor. If someone builds a lodge, he's an investor. But when a foreigner comes and he wants to invest, he's given freebies. He's given a very huge investment, incentive, not given to the locals. So in other words, many local people don't invest decently to put good money there. So we find that the quality of the people traveling today are the growing middle class, but they are struggling. I don't say that it's totally not there, but domestic travel is there, but it's still at low levels.
Okay.
It's affected by our cultures.
Okay, all right. We do have local travel agencies that have come up, urban agencies that have come up to put up sort of local tourism here and there. For example, Nyege Nyege, I think it is one of those entities that is actually trying to market Uganda and make people buy Uganda, especially the locals. Now, when it comes to supporting such initiatives and such entities who are trying to help promote local tourism, how is the Confederation actually enabling them? How is it supporting them to give them the necessary tools to grow leaps and bounds?
We were not, they never contacted us, the organizers. Of course, they have a space, they have enough space. Events, that's a different segment of tourism. Festivals and events, part of MICE, are very, very important. Nyege Nyege event is very important for us to come out, and if we had all the resources necessary, we would have put it out there for them. But we still give them the will. We have got very many people we are going to tell, please go to Nyege Nyege. Events are very important. And the government should have a deliberate effort to make sure that we have got these events supported. Supported so that people can see what's happening in the country. It stood 3 days, 4 days, but it may not necessarily fall into the domestic tourism value chain, because the value chain has got different nodes, different suppliers, different service providers on the value chain. So it develops that segment of tourism. It adds on the visibility of the country, that this thing happened there, and people can tag along it to start marketing their services, which I think is good also. But we need to have a very robust strategy of domestic tourism, starting from schools, secondary schools, agencies, government parastatals, civil servants to travel within their country and be able to lead others. Because at least salary earners, if the government policy is that you earn some money and win a travel to somewhere, it saves some money for traveling within your country, holiday within your country, so that you can negotiate with the private sector. Like government should be able to negotiate with the private sector and look, people in the low season, please take our people on these given rates. Then we start from there. It becomes very good.
Okay. All right. Speaking of strategies, I beg your wisdom on what strategies you're actually developing for the industry as far as some challenges are concerned. Skilling or upgrading of the skilling that is present in the industry. The other thing that we want to look at is investment, especially in some of these entities and businesses. The parks also on protected areas, and even the strength of marketing of Uganda as a tourism destination.
You know, we are fronting three major things: marketing, skilling, and infrastructure. But as a matter of priority, marketing is very important. We need to go out into the market. We must be visible. We're asking government, can we have at least 50 tour operators per month out of this country to bring tourists? Look for tourists. If you do it for 2 years, I can tell you every node on the service, on the value chain, will feel it, that we have something coming up. We need to continue skilling. We have only one center of excellence which cannot produce what is required, which can meet the demand, but we need to empower the private sector. Private sector should be empowered to you know, the private sector is the consumer of the services. If I'm a tour operator, I should be involved in the training, competence training of the people I'm going to employ. It cannot come from one side. That the Ministry of Education gets me from primary school, secondary school, you know, university, then college, then everywhere, and then they even come on skilling when it cannot work. It's very difficult to work. So we need to really work hard and make sure that we skill our people continuously, compare with our competitors in South Africa, in the region, and go out there. In fact, the Ministry of Tourism has come up to help us on the guides. They've been supporting on the guides. They have done level 1. They're going to do level 2, which I think is a commendable job. But we need to look at the entire sector. We identified 204 potential occupations for this country. So if each occupation takes maybe 200,000 people, then we shall have professional service. We will try to work against the common cry that we hire people from outside Uganda, hotel managers from where. I mean,
it's expertise and it is skill that you have to.
We have to skill
because you know you also have to abide by the international policies to be able to manage some of these entities, investments, and businesses here in Uganda. But still, speaking of skilling, in 2019 we had over 536,000 jobs. Because of COVID-19, those dropped down by literally half. What has been the trajectory since then?
Yeah, there were jobs, but they were not structured. There were no standards. You see, I use the word occupation carefully. We have to know the occupations that we have in the system, and they have standards they follow. That if you know this is a waitress, or this is a barista, this is a cook or a chef, then you know we have trained chefs. How many do we have in the country? How much are they supposed to earn? What system do they go through? Are they trained? Are they assessed? Are their competencies assessed? Do you have standards to assess them? Now when you do that, then eventually you come up with the real workers who can pay taxes. Those jobs they're talking about, I can tell you, some of them are informal. Most of, you could find that maybe 60% is informal.
Okay.
Because the standards are not clear. Now we've worked with DIT, under Ministry of Education, because I've been chairing the Sector Skills Council. We managed to push to start developing standards, reviewing the other standards. But now, I've heard the Ministry of Education has changed. They are no longer Sector Skills Councils. And globally, they are called Sector Skills Councils. They want to change to something else. So that means we are going away from the international standards. It will adversely affect the tourism business because you are producing a chef as who?
Okay.
Under which arrangement?
Oh. All right. I know that you've had engagements to which now there's a twist and a turn to what you are trying to push for, skilling the informal and transforming them into formal employment and supporting the sector by and large. Now, speaking of supporting the sector, some good news that I think will support the sector. AFCON 2027 is around the corner, and as the government is trying to prepare for those that particular event, next year we do have some two global events in January and February. The G77 Summit is around the corner. So all these are opportunities to boost tourism for us in Uganda. How is the Confederation supporting to tap into these opportunities?
Actually, there are 3 events. The International Conference for Women Brothers, we have got GH77 and NAM. If it was possible, I would have recommended to the president to postpone them to May.
Reason being?
Ample time for preparations.
But there's ample time for preparation because these events are awarded to countries to be hosted. It's not just out of the blue.
Yeah, that's what I said.
As soon as you get the information that you've been awarded as a country, then you've been given ample time to do the
I
preparation.
think there was a delay, maybe as a result of what has been happening, COVID and blah, blah, blah. There's no money, the government doesn't have money. But on a positive note, the government has contacted PSFU to get involved, and PSFU has called all of us to work together. A committee has been set up. We're working day and night. We are meeting every week, like 2 times, to make sure that it happens.
Commonwealth Munyonyo is working day and night to set up an entire new structure for just those conferences. Why not you?
So we are working together, working hard, identifying the tour operators, identifying the guides, identifying hotels, identifying all those that will be involved in providing services. Yeah, we are going to mobilize also the private sector. I think next week I'm calling a meeting of the players to sit down and see how do we benefit from all this, so that we can stage ourselves somewhere. If it means having a show or maybe an exhibition at some point, we should be able to find a place where we can put our exhibition and align it to these conferences, so that the people from the conferences can always come and visit there, but also offering different packages of tours to different places of the country.
That's true, because I attended a conference most recently, and you know, there was members from within the East African region, but also south of Africa, and I was dismayed and heartened that they're going to go back to Uganda, and the only thing that they would have spoken about is the conference and the hotel they stayed in. No potential tourism was tapped into then.
Now you see what the government has done at some point, really realized they cannot do these things alone. That's why they are coming in. PSFU, please come, bring your people, let's work together and get the best out of it. Because we've been appealing. You cannot host an international conference, I mean, for presidents alone, and then you forget about tourism. You forget about the potential within it, the visibility within it. So we will definitely work together, and of course we are going to work. I'm very much interested in the media to be tagged along it, so that they can be part of it. They cannot do it alone. But also I'm happy that we have got a team is coming up of young travel writers. They were being launched a few days ago, and that's very, very good for the country, that we can have new people who can start writing about travel. And we train them and build them the capacity of the international levels. So the private sector is getting involved. It has been hooked into, and we are working hard. I was scared a bit, like, how shall we manage? But since it was awarded and we can't change it, let's work hard. MTN is on board. All these agencies around, they are on board. They are working day and night to make sure this happens. So the Confederation has mobilized people. Even today, I appointed our PR to sit on the committee. I think we are doing well. We are doing whatever it takes to make sure that we have got packages for them, showing Uganda, and we will send a message to all the people around the country where tourists can go, whoever has the potential tourist attraction, to make sure it is decent, make sure they have the communities aware. You know, it's a big job to do, but we shall continue doing it.
Okay, so for the conferences happening next year, time is is essential, and I do commend government, because I know that Munyonyo most recently had been blocked off to work on the infrastructure, road infrastructure there. As of this morning, traffic that is coming in from Munyonyo, Buziga, Bunga, Soya into Kansanga, Kawaragara, that traffic is also being diverted. Works have begun on that road again in light of what is happening. So such conferences not only aid the country as far as dollars is concerned or currency exchange is concerned, but also they quickly influence the other sectors, such as the road infrastructure. Now, away from that, you have talked about preparations and how they shouldn't be, short-handed. So 2027 is not short-handed. You still have a lot of time to prepare the country to receive people from all over Africa to be able to enjoy Uganda and the East African region. What's the roadmap?
The roadmap for the private sector, we're trying, we're in conversations with our partners, and we're in Kenya now. We are going to go to Tanzania to start complementing each other. Because we must accept the fact that they have had a long, conducive climate, conducive climate, long-time conducive climate to market their countries. You know, Tanzania and Kenya, beach areas, coastal regions, they have traffic. In fact, in Kenya, for example, November, December, January, February, they are fully booked. The whole of coastal region, fully booked.
I was trying to book something in Mombasa.
You can't get through.
I failed to
So
get
you see,
it.
the
That's
same
what
thing
I
happens in
wanted.
Tanzania.
So I'm forced to look around less. You know.
So we are going to them and say, look,
Yeah.
let's work together. We are the same people. You have these beautiful beaches, you have got all these things, but you don't have what we have in Uganda. And people who have been coming here for 15 years, they can now divert to the other side. And they have accepted. They are willing to work with us. So we think within next year, we're going to be making sure we continue working together and develop packages together, complementing packages. We sign MOUs, work with the tour operators from the other side, train together, look at the standards together, so that we win confidence. Because you know, when you're joining someone who has been in business, you have to put up your socks to get to their level, so that they're able to win, trust in us. We actually go to Mombasa this week, next weekend from Sunday. We're heading to Mombasa region. We have a conference there, tourism conference there, and we shall have a farm trip, and they will come here to tour our country again and see how good we are, how are we prepared, how are we doing, where can they help us, what do we offer on the market, so that we have packages built together. And I'm sure by end of next year, we shall have built confidence between Uganda and Kenya, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, to make sure that we can work together as a region.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Byeruhanga, I would like you to build confidence in Ugandans because this is a prime season for the tourism sector, especially in the push of domestic tourism. What are those tourism destinations or things that they should look out for in this season as we close the year?
You know, Ugandans need to tour their country and see how beautiful it is. You know, if you don't travel, you don't see how beautiful it is. I've been traveling around the country. I'm known for that. I do bird watching. It's my core. But if you go to Kidepo, oh my God, it's just a beautiful.
It is on my bucket list.
It's one of the top 10 destinations of Africa. It's excellent. If you love wildlife, go to Murchison Falls. And Kidepo is one place you can find a herd of 2,000.
You remind me of when I was last in Murchison Falls. It was for a wedding, and in the morning we woke up to, hippos on the porch of the place that we were residing in, and it was a wowing experience. It's something that I can never forget. Like, they were just seated right there. The reason for their sitting right there is that they're trying to cool off in the morning. But, yeah.
It takes me to the reason why should we travel. Shed of stress.
True.
See what happens outside the camp, outside your home. What do you see there? And be out there and away from home, away from the usual stresses. Just get somewhere. If you go to Murchison Falls, I can tell you we're still doing very well. Numbers of wildlife, very, very rich. The Uganda Wildlife Authority has done a good job there. You go to Kidepo, you can see herds of buffaloes. I think we are beating many, many countries. 2,500, at one go.
Wild
buffaloes.
Yeah.
Buffaloes, oh my God, going one go. One day you saw about 100 elephants moving like
I had that
one
experience also
direction.
in Murchison Falls. We were taking the tour trip, and then the car stopped suddenly, and we asked the tour guide, why have you stopped? And he told us, no, at this time the elephants are about to cross, so we can't go that direction.
So we had seen
and in a few minutes, a herd of elephants crossed. It was
now
magnificent.
look at Queen Elizabeth. The boat trip, the boat experience on Kazinga Channel is among the best. Visiting Semliki National Park, people who love wildlife, who want to know species. Semliki is the eastern limit of West African species. Most of the species found in Semliki are not anywhere else in East Africa, only Semliki.
Mr. Byeruhanga, you and I could talk about tourism and our experiences all day long, but what are the potentials for the sector 2024 as you close?
The potentials are embedded in our capacity to market. Uganda is liked by very, very many people. Whoever learns about it is happy, but most of the people don't know it. So we need to increase on visibility. Like, we should use this negative incident at Queen Elizabeth to be able to get people out there. We continue training. I am sure our collaboration with East African countries, we have the potential of bringing many people here in Uganda. And I can tell you, if we get out aggressively, we have position in space.
Okay.
People are there, they want to come to Uganda, and they will come.
All right. Herbert Byarahanga, President, Confederation of the Uganda Tourism Association, say, giving us the confidence that the future is truly bright for tourism sector here in Uganda. And of course, he has talked about collaboration, local, regional, and international, to ensure that standardization cuts across the bar to be able to meet the needs, the requirements, and also the expectations of tourists, both foreign and local. But again, tasking you as a fellow Ugandan to be patriotic, especially in your advocacy work on spreading the good news and the bad news. Use the same speed, use the same oomph, use the same energy, and together, collectively, we can make the tourism sector 2024 shine brighter and better. That marks the end of this conversation. We take a short breather. We return shortly.